We are back and ready to attack this addiction to failure. Yes, you heard me correctly. Addicted to failure. How really could this even be possible? Like, how could people be addicted to something that makes them feel less than, that makes them feel not good enough, that makes them feel inadequate? Like, why would anyone deliberately seek out this outcome? Like, say to themselves, yep, I want to fail. I want to completely sabotage and fail at this thing that I'm setting out to do, at this thing that I want to do so badly. Why would anyone deliberately do that? That is a really good question, and it is one that has been boggling my mind for what feels like an eternity. Yet, I will say that is exactly what so many of us do every day. And after much research and reading, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see me here in my messy studio behind me. I've got books everywhere, you guys. I have so many books upon books stacked up everywhere, all really focused around this particular subject matter, which I didn't realize was where it would end up. I was looking on, different things with excuses and limiting beliefs, sabotage, identity sabotage is what I've been kind of re uh, reframing my work around. But looking at it would be, self-sabotage, or habits, how to create good habits, that we have these bad habits and we're trying to get new, better, healthier ones. How do we do that? And all of these things, I've spent countless hours meditating in deep contemplation about what stops us. I've put together questions on all of my platform forums with that question: what stops us? And people would have all these different reasons to why they feel they're not achieving or reaching or not starting something that they want to start. Yet, we find ourselves stuck. We find ourselves stuck in these bad habit loops, even when it's crystal clear. We can say, oh, it's because I don't have enough time. It's so crystal clear as to, what it is that's stopping me. And even when we have the solutions, when the solutions are offered to those reasons as to why, we still find ourselves repeating the same things over and over again, and we still find ourselves in the same space and the same place over and over again. Like, why is that? Why is that? And I remember looking deeper into this, especially when I was in the early stages through my recovery with my addiction to alcohol. I was so caught up in why people were relapsing, why we were going back to that solution of drinking, when we knew through all of the experiences prior leading up to that moment that that wasn't the answer, but yet there we were going back to it thinking that it would be. Like, why was that? And through that I learned some awesome tips and tools that I have used and will be actually sharing in this podcast, because in all honesty, all of my personal experiences, all of my education and schooling in getting my BA in Vedic science, and becoming a yoga teacher and a meditation guide and a health coach, and all of these things, they've brought to light a lot of different behaviors and thinking behind those behaviors, and all the books that I've read, they all have great things, but for me, I really like to keep it simple. I like some solution and action that I can take. I like to create a visual imagery that really helps me break it down, to where it's digestible for me, just enough to where I can process the concept and then apply some action. So I have taken all of my years of schooling, all of my years of reading and research and all of these books, and I've condensed it and created what I believe is the real truth behind our addiction to failure and why we find ourselves caught up in this identity sabotage loop. And I remember most recently, I was taking a course. I had signed up for this course with this guy, like world renowned videographer, photographer guy. And I spent a lot of money for this course because when I had set out to start my empowerment coaching business, my emotional fitness practice, that I knew that courses were going to be one of the avenues I used to reach my clients and help people with providing solution-based, evidence and results, things that they could go into, take this course, learn some stuff. And if they wanted to continue on and work with me one-on-one, we have programs for that too. But the courses were going to be a huge part of it. Not to mention my yoga. So my emotional yoga fitness, I wanted to make sure that my recordings and my audio were great and wanted to be able to produce some really high quality content for you. So in doing so, I set out to take this course and learn all about, lighting and the audio side of things and the editing and just all of that, and put down a pretty hefty deposit for this course. And in talking to him, he said, "Yeah, it's really surprising to me how many people never finish." And I was like, "Wait, what? People are paying you a lot of money to take this course and gather and gain this knowledge and information for a reason, right? They came to you for a reason. They had a problem. You offered a solution and they paid you a lot of money for it. And you're telling me they don't finish?" I didn't believe him. I couldn't believe him. I was like, there's no freaking way. Up until the point that I started creating my courses. I started creating courses and I found people signed up. And that was like really hard even to get that point, to get to that point. People signed up for the course. One of them was a paid course, and people weren't taking the course. People weren't finishing the course. People weren't even maybe getting halfway through the course. And I was like, okay, well, maybe it's too much information. Maybe I need to condense it down and make it more digestible. So I created another course. I created the Unstuck Yourself course, and it was a free one. You didn't even have to pay for this one, right? And I would think, I want to say about over 100 people that are in this course. And out of the 100 people, maybe one or two people have completely finished the course. Maybe a handful of people have started the course, but majority of the people haven't even logged in after signing up. And I'm like, whoa, okay, what is going on? What am I missing? There is something that I am missing. So again, I have spent so much time researching and reading and figuring out what is that missing link? What is it that is stopping us? And in all of those polls that I've done, and you hear all of these things about why we think it is, it's never about that thing. And I have clients that come to me after failed attempts from trying to lose weight, after failed attempts of trying to stop drinking, after failed attempts of wanting to create a more holistic healing practice in their day, create a routine that is easy for them to do, so that they can start to find more peace and serenity in their day, reduce stress and reduce anxiety, and give them a healthy eating diet that they can start to do, that they're struggling, and people are still struggling, and they are still stuck, and they don't know what to do. And I'm just like, man, I feel so powerless here. Like I am missing something. I am not being of ultimate service to you. So I just, again, was finding myself racking my brain in massive contemplation constantly, because I'm providing action. I'm providing, a solution that is guaranteed. If you do these things, You are guaranteed to get closer to the result that you seek, but yet they would give up or they wouldn't even start. And then one day I was sitting in a meditation in that deep contemplation of what is it? And the universe literally, I swear, hit me over the head, massive download. And all of a sudden, I out loud said, it's because we're addicted to failure. And it just dawned on me. Like literally, we've been focusing on the wrong things. It's not about the bad habits. It's not about the excuses that I'm too busy, I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm not smart enough, I'm not talented enough, I don't have the money, I don't have the support system. We've been focusing on the symptoms of a much deeper condition. The root cause. As you know, I want to get to the root and we can always dig deeper. So that's what I've done. And I've realized that it's none of those things. It's something deeper than that. It is our unsafe beliefs. We are addicted to failure because it reinforces our unsafe beliefs that we have been living as our truth. It's a form of what I like to call the identity sabotage. And this is where our soul self, our true self, is at war with our false self. Our false self that is made up of these unsafe beliefs of who we are. Now, our soul self speaks to us, and we can hear her. This is where you feel a longing, a calling, or a burning desire to change, to evolve, to grow. This is where you find your dreams and your aspirations. This is where you find your interests and your passions. This is where your authentic voice lives. Your truth lives here. Your purpose lives here. But then all of a sudden, our unsafe beliefs start talking. They start interrupting our soul self with erroneous beliefs and hijack our brain without us even knowing it. Thus, allowing yourself to be tricked by our unconscious in an attempt to ensure you fail. And allow, yet again, another alibi for proof, right? For proof as to why your unsafe belief is true. Holy bugs on a bunny. I was like, whoa. And I had to say holy bugs on a bunny for my mom and for Jade. I love you, Jade, if you're listening. But that was it. It's not about the excuses. It's not about the bad habits and the failed attempts, the stopping and starting, the starting and stopping. It's our addiction to failure. It gives us a false sense of safety, security, and validation of our behavior. It gives us permission to give up. It gives us permission not to try, not to show up, and it supports our story. Now, I still believe and stick to the fact that failure is the roadmap to success. When we have the proper tools and GPS system to guide us. I call this our inner compass, right? The best way to connect to this, to the best way to connect to our soul self is through meditation. I can't stress that enough. This is where we can sit in contemplation. This is where we can sit and listen and feel and hear our soul self speaking to us. And this is where you will begin to identify your unsafe beliefs and start challenging them with some questions. Now, here are some signs that your mind has been hijacked with a UBS or USB. And I think that's hilarious that unsafe beliefs broken down there as USB. And so you're at USB. So here are some signs that your mind has been hijacked. You have an all or nothing mentality. You overcompensate. You become preoccupied with other things and other people, other people's business. You want to be a fixer. You're going to fix everybody else. You're avoiding your own thing. You're easily distracted. You procrastinate. And the most obvious one, of course, is we just stop showing up for ourselves. So where we can begin to reprogram our USB is identifying our unsafe beliefs and breaking down this addiction to failure, right? So I'm going to give some examples of my own personal unsafe beliefs, because as you know, anything that I talk about, anything that I share with you, it's all been something that I have done, I have used, I have learned, I have tried, whether it is something that I created on my own or it's something that I've taken from somewhere else and put my own spin on it to see if it works for me. This is where I was able to really challenge this work and see if it worked. And in fact, it has worked. And so therefore, I feel confident to share it with you, because if it worked for me, chances are it might work for you. So some of my examples of unsafe beliefs are this. Making mistakes is terrible. If I can't do it perfectly, why bother? I must never show weakness. Working on my problems could hurt me. Anxiety is bad. Strong people don't ask for help. And if things don't go right, something must be wrong with me. So those were my top unsafe beliefs that I was able to identify. And just like any addiction, it only has power over us when we choose to give it our power, okay? So just like alcohol, the first step in our 12 steps is admitting we were powerless over alcohol. Man, admitting you're powerless over something, that's like the hardest thing too, especially if you have a huge ego. And I know I for sure did. I didn't want to be powerless over anything. Heck, one of my unsafe beliefs was I must never show weakness. Huh, okay, so that was fun. But I realized again that it only has power over me when I choose to give it my power. So the first step to recover from the cause of the condition is acceptance. Accepting that we have an unsafe belief about ourselves allows us to take back our power. When we can accept the fact that, yeah, we have this unsafe belief, we are able to now take back our power here. And then we can learn to question it, challenge it, and rewrite it. So identifying the unsafe belief, once we have it, we're going to ask questions like, what am I feeling when I think this thought? Why does this thought or this feeling make me think the way I do? What evidence or where did this come from? What evidence supports this? And you can go back to your earliest memory or the most recent one. I tend to try to go back all the way to the beginning because that's really where it rooted, the very beginning. And then what's the reward? What's the payoff for thinking this thought? So I'm going to give an example in using this strategy with my number one. I must never show weakness. What am I feeling when I think this thought? Oh, what am I feeling? What am I thinking? What emotion is coming? I feel vulnerable. I'm very vulnerable here. I'm not smart if I show weakness. I'm not good enough. I'm not capable. I'm not strong enough if I show weakness. I feel very vulnerable. And then why does this feeling make me think this thought? My answer was because people that show weakness aren't strong, reliable, dependable, or problem solvers. And where did this come from? What evidence supports this? Seeing people in my life growing up complaining and not changing their life, feeling sorry for themselves. I saw them as weak. And what's the payoff? What's the reward? What's the payoff if I continue to believe this unsafe belief, this USB? What's the payoff for me? And my response, I won't look like them. That is an unsafe belief that has an outcome that only hurts me and gives me a false sense of security. Playing it safe. We become addicted to this unsafe belief because it gives us a false sense of security. And when you can break it down like this and challenge it a little bit, you start to see, oh my gosh, this is not helping me. This is hurting me. This is where that whole become uncomfortable, embrace the uncomfortable to become comfortable. That's where that course came in. And I have a podcast on that as well. So breaking the identity sabotage loop, I have created a little diagram, which I would show you, but even on the video camera, I don't think it would show very well. So just picture this. It's a circle, right? And it starts at the bottom with your USB, your unsafe belief. And then going from that, you have a feeling, emotion linked to that USB. And then from that emotion, feeling, you have a thought, and that thought produces an action, and that action produces a reinforced outcome of that USB, right? So that is that loop. That is that loop that is happening all the time when we are finding ourselves feeling like we're always striving but never arriving. We're starting, we're stopping, we're stopping, we're starting. We haven't lost the weight that we wanted to lose. Excuse me. That we haven't gotten as far in life as we thought we should. Why do we pay for a course and not take it? Why do we get a free course and not finish it? Why do we get the book but don't read it? Why do we buy all the healthy foods but don't eat it? Or we do for a day or two and then we stop. It's that USB linked to that emotion, linked to that thought, linked to that action to reinforce that USB. That's what that is. So breaking the identity sabotage loop, or the ISL, when we can identify our own USB and the emotions linked to them, we can begin to reroute the delivery system to our thoughts before they become action, which our actions inevitably, as we already just talked about, become our reinforced USB outcome. So when we can reprogram and reroute that delivery system, we can start to break that habit loop, that identity sabotage loop. So we're going to use my example on this. My example again, I must never show weakness. Okay, so we're going to take this unsafe belief and we're going to turn it into a safe belief. So my safe belief now is it's in showing my weakness that I find strength. So when I am able to be in a situation where I am feeling a weakness, when I am feeling vulnerable, which vulnerability led me to this emotional state and feeling of I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm just complaining. I'm thinking back to these people that were always just feeling sorry for themselves, not doing anything about it. I'm feeling like them and that I had to pretend not to be. I wasn't going to show up that way, so I stuffed it and didn't express it and didn't speak my soul self truth, because to be vulnerable meant I was weak. But as we know from the beautiful Brene Brown in her TED Talk on vulnerability, in her newest book, Atlas of the Heart, which I have and just love, I have it opened up here. It opened up. Vulnerability is not weakness. It is our greatest measure of courage. So when I could take this unsafe belief, challenge it, and flip it to it's in showing my weakness that I find strength, so that when I feel vulnerable, I know I am being courageous when I speak up, when I show up, and when I ask for help. So when that feeling comes, when that emotion comes from that old USB, I can biohack it with, in between that emotion and thought, that new belief, that new safe belief, which will then trigger a different thought, which will then trigger a different action, which will then trigger a different enforce action outcome. And now all of a sudden, I am not reinforcing my old USB, I am enforcing a new belief system that works and produces some results that I can be happy with. This is some real powerful stuff, you guys. And to be honest, we're only scratching the surface. I wanted to get this podcast out to get ourselves thinking a different thought, to start questioning our own USBs, and start to dig a little deeper. So the next level for me is to create a course. I'm going to create a free course, and we're going to dive a little deeper. We're going to uncover our unsafe beliefs. We're going to challenge them. We're going to flip the script, right, and give ourselves a new way of thinking to that belief. And then we are going to upgrade our delivery system to enforce a new safe belief that produces a positive and healthy outcome. So I say stay tuned because it is coming. I'm going to be working on it here after I am done with this podcast, as I am recording it and then editing it and delivering it to you. But I am currently in my studio and it is a mess, and I am in creative mode. So I am all in to deliver more of this information to you. And so again, if you haven't already, go to my website, the Soul Shack Sisters website, so soulshacksisters.com. And if you haven't subscribed to my email list, go ahead and put your email in there, because you'll be the first to know. I send out emails all the time with different things that we're offering and doing, and all the exciting, free courses and yoga classes. And I ask questions about things so that I can create content that speaks to you and helps you. So be sure to go there and enter in your email. I don't sell these emails. It's just for me talking to you. And then share this with a friend. Share this podcast with anybody that you feel could be that could benefit from listening to this and kind of starting to challenge that. And if you haven't already, maybe in the meantime, check out the Unstuck Yourself course and see if there's some stuff there that you can start using to prime your engines and get you ready for this next one. So we're going to turn this into a course, into a workshop, and there'll be a lot more there. So again, thank you for that. And thank you all as well who have been helping and supporting me. It means a lot to me. I've gotten some great donations. If you can or want to, you can always support to this podcast. There's a link, I think like a Cash App link to support to the show. This show is really where we get our messages out and get things going and helping as many people as possible recover from identity sabotage and empower themselves and strengthen their emotional fitness to be the best version of themselves they can be. And by being able to do this podcast through some of those supports and donations, it allows me to just basically dive all in and be 100% committed to the cause. So I really want to thank all that have supported the show in that manner. It means a lot to me. And I am so excited to go on to the next level here. So I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. I hope you got something from it. If you need to listen to it again and bring out a journal and start writing some notes and looking at some maybe unsafe beliefs that you have. If you have any questions, we can get this going early. You can always message me. You can email me at Tonya@soulshacksisters.com. And of course, you can always go to the website to reach out to me. So thank you again, you guys, for tuning in to this episode of the Soul Shack Sisters, Addicted to Failure. I hope it helped a little bit in changing our thinking and challenging our unsafe beliefs. And finally, once and for all, getting rid of those and reprogramming our mind with some things that are healthy and helping us, not hurting us. So much love to you. Love and ignite the light within. Until next time.